Listen up, parents. Want to start building generational wealth and happiness for your children in less than 10 minutes? Well, Fabric by Group.
I'll even give you an example. Most people feel like, so my wife and I, this is how we communicate. When we have serious conversations, we text instead of having face-to-face conversations. And what it does is, especially for me as the processor, I get an opportunity to be able to, and we haven't really made a decision to do this, it just happens. But I get an opportunity to communicate clearly, she gets an opportunity to communicate with me clearly, and we're able to, this is ours, this is just how we do it. Most people will say, as soon as you need to talk face-to-face, this is ours, what works for us. So don't judge us, or you can, but this is ours.
But in our marriage.
But I will say we do eventually.
Yeah.
So what we find is that the texting, it clears out that initial space of heat.
Yeah.
Where if we are face to face, it ain't gonna be nothing but a bunch of coming at each other, and we don't need that. We are intentional about the peace in our house and the peace in our marriage. And so, if communicating via text message, and even if there's a question about what was in the text, because we got rid of that initial heat, we can now sit and have a peaceful conversation about what the disagreement was. So we always come back and we talk about it.
Yeah, and it's just you'll miss the evolution if you stay committed to a certain path. And like my wife, at one point liked a certain candy, and then a year later she hates this.
Oh, my
candy.
favorite snack change all the time.
Yeah.
He'll pick up some, babe, I got you. I'm like, I thought you liked Twix. Now his will remain the same. Always the same.
Yesterday, today, and forevermore. I follow Jesus. But if you don't stay that close to keep your ear that close to what's happening, you'll be like so committed and they'll be literally telling you, I don't like Twix anymore. Yes, you do. You've always liked Twix.
Oh, wow.
Like so
good.
Cash your crown consistently. I don't know. So where we at today? I don't know.
Yeah. Where are we at today?
That's good. Well, here's so in the first 10 seasons of the Dear Future Wifey podcast, I would write a letter to my future wifey, and that letter manifested this amazing woman here, Ashley. And so now I said that I want to create this wall, the keys to love, where I ask each guest to write down the key to love and then hang it on the wall. So if you look in that box there, you'll have open that box there. It's a little key and a piece of paper and a pen.
This is beautiful.
And I want y'all to write a note on that, use that as a
And don't
background.
keep the book.
I got some for you. I got a book for you.
Is it still in if we just keep it?
No, it's called borrowing.
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 Long-term borrowing.
So
Long-term
we write
borrowing.
it on,
Just write
right on
down-
each side or just one
On the front
side?
side, the key side. The key on the flip it. Just flip the key up. Well, however you want to do it. Just right across the long way, however you want to. And then Ash and I just converse. So, what you think about this episode? This is our first interview that we did together.
This is amazing.
Could pick a better guest on.
I just wish that they could stay here and talk. Do they have to go home?
He said, "Mommy, can we keep him? Can we keep him?"
Look at Asher come back.
When can we go visit?
You know what we do need to get out there. Are y'all gonna be doing like anything for Valentine's Day this year?
Always do it.
Yes.
So we do a series
Put us on program.
called Sex, Love, and Relationship.
Sex, love, and
So during the
relationship.
entire month of February, and then we end it with a panel similar to the one we did with you. I would love to have y'all come.
All right, come on.
Let's do
Yes.
it.
Oh, because
I wanna tell
the
y'all
Tears
churches-
met them. Yeah, they wild crazy now.
I love your church, though. I love the spirit of your church. It's so cool, man. They got this amazing property that they have, and I mean, a lot of room for expansion because of the building they got. But yeah, it'd be great. That'd be great to do that, especially being in the place that the night I left, I had a dream about you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you kept saying how beautiful it was.
Yeah, I told you. I said, I felt it was just amazing. That morning, that I had a counseling session with Love McPherson. That noon, about 1 or 2 o'clock. I can't remember now, but right before I did their service, and I was like, hey, I want to schedule this counseling session on the day that I'm there. And so I scheduled that, and then I went to their church. All right, y'all wrote it? Now tell me what y'all wrote.
I wrote what I just said. Cash your crown consistently.
And what you write?
And I wrote, the key to love is selflessness and constant communication.
And constant communication. Maybe have y'all go hang that up on the hood books over there. Let's hang it up.
Watch my mini.
Yeah.
Listen, it's called connecting. It's insane. I don't do schedules or timesheets manually, and it works. Oh, like you wouldn't believe it. My team puts together
Hey y'all.
auto schedule.
I'm just watching this podcast and taking my down.
Schedule like that. Yeah. So.
Rihanna, here, can you bring my gifts for my guest?
Oh, wow.
No.
Yeah, you know. So, all right, so y'all know I have this book, Student of Love, and I'm gonna make y'all the first. Yes. The book comes out on 13th.
Wow.
Come on. So open up.
Oh my goodness.
So I call Kenny. I text him and say, what size shirt you wear?
Yeah, right. I'm thinking you was about to bring a
That comes
t-shirt
out
out.
on 13th. That comes out on 13th. You can't. You don't have to.
Oh, I'm about to, cause
Oh, look at the inside. What's happening? I wish one of y'all did this.
He did it.
Let's have a photo of my that's why I can appreciate apparel. That's why I used to love doing. But yeah, I had.
Oh, y'all.
Yeah,
Now,
stand
is
up
this
with it.
something that some of your followers can order?
I'm
Or
gonna make
you
it.
don't know
At
yet?
first, I was just doing it. Go to the wine shop. At first, I was doing it where it was just gonna be with influencers that I had, and I know a lot of people gonna want that. Look at that. That mess is clean.
That
Look at the
is-
back of it.
Purple and gold.
Ouch.
What makes it the right color?
you know I'm a member of an organization.
Oh, you didn't know?
I'm a Delta.
Yeah. You already know. Look at them, y'all.
Student of Love. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at the back of that.
Mine is crop.
Yeah, yours cropped.
Come on, somebody.
The
I made the
women's
women.
cut is
I made the
so
women
cute.
cut crop.
Yes.
Church girls in the crop.
Yeah. Put that on.
Oh, yes.
That mug is clean.
Oh,
Look at that.
it's so cute.
Yeah.
Because we're all students of love.
Students of love.
I'm keeping it on.
Yeah, you got to get your Letterman jacket. I love it. That means you're on the team.
Oh, this looks good too on camera.
That looks
Make sure
amazing.
we're looking at ourselves. We're looking at ourselves on the camera.
Let's take We read it now.
Wow,
But listen,
y'all.
man, like this book was very special to me because, you know, like even when you was talking about rejection or whatnot, that we're reframing rejection in the book. That rejection is redirection. And at the end of the day, if we don't internalize love that doesn't work out or expectation that God knows what's best for us, and if we just keep leaning into love and become a student of love, then God will direct us to the person that we're supposed to be with. And so, Student of Love is teaching us that love isn't about finding the right person, but about becoming the right person. Because at the end of the day, that's what you really want. You want a love that is sustainable. You don't want to just
That's
get married and
good.
last
Becoming
a
the
year,
right
2 years.
person.
You want a love that
Can't be
keeps you
thinking
in
about
a place
what
of every moment.
somebody else gotta be. You gotta be the right person.
I love it.
That's
That text,
good.
you dropped that text.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Y'all gonna get this right now.
Go ahead, dude.
Listen, this is going bestseller. New York Times bestseller is where we're going. I want y'all to go right now. Blow Amazon up, blow wherever you get your books and
Yes.
your literature from. I believe that this is gonna really be a blessing to your lives, and I cannot wait to read it. I can't. Matter of fact, we need to make all of the singles
Yeah, 100%.
and the married couples read this at the church. I think this will be a good read
Yes.
for our church family. Purpose Quest. This is what we're gonna do. Yep.
Who name you see down there at the forward?
Dr. Gary Chapman. Wow. New York Times bestselling author, The 5 Love Languages.
Wow. So let me tell you something.
Y'all already know.
So let me tell you something. I literally was sitting there and I said,
That's
I had a vision that Dr. Gary Chapman would do the forward. And I was like, God, how's that going to happen? This man, 86 years old. How am I going to ever meet him? And then I told my publicist to reach out to him to come on the podcast. He came on the podcast. I asked his, I guess that's his publicist or whatever. I said, you think I can get Dr. Gary Chapman to do the forward? He's like, no, he don't really do stuff like that. And then I said, all right, I'll just ask him personally. And so when he came on the podcast, I said, listen, I would love for you to do the forward. Matter of fact, while he was there, I got a call from my literary agent that W Publishing wanted to offer me, a publishing deal with them. And I was like, okay. And he was like, oh my God, that's great. While he was sitting there, I said, hey, well, since God has blessed me, this is my other big ass.
Wow.
I would love for you to do the forward. He said, I don't just put my name on anything. I'm going to read the book. If I like it, I'll do the forward. He read that book. He read the book. He was like, oh yeah, I'll be honored to do this. This is amazing. He said, what I love about it is that you don't approach it from being this know-it-all, that you actually approach it from being a student. And you talk in layman's term where people can understand it. It's witty, it's funny, and it gives some powerful truths. And he was like, I can't believe that you're not a therapist, because even in the book, you sound like you're a therapist, but it comes from a very creative way. And he was like, man, I love it. And he wrote an amazing forward to it. Wow. And I was like, God, that's a huge God wink. And so it's just been an amazing thing that God, I can go on and on about how God was systematically opening up doors for this book. And but again, I led in the acknowledgement of talking about this will be my wife, you know, and I was like,
I see it right here, your word of prophecy. And to Mrs. Ashley R. Whitfield, you are the grace after the grind, the reward for every tear shed in the classroom of my becoming. You inherit the healed version of me, the man who failed forward into faithfulness.
woo.
That's just the intro.
I'm telling you.
So if you were thinking about buying this, but even if you weren't, this is your confirmation.
It's your confirmation.
That the fact that you are hearing this right now is your confirmation that God wants to get this into your life.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, listen, may the love you share today outlive the season you're in.
May it carry you through the days when words are few and
Faith has to do the talking. So thank y'all so much for this episode of Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Y'all give it up for my homies, the Leonards.
Ooh, look at that gray hair.
Arrested 7 into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none.
Okay, which one we gonna watch next? Oh, Priscilla, like her. Priscilla and her husband. So the next one I'm going to watch is Priscilla Shire. Where is it? How did I miss it? Well, I guess I don't need to watch it. All right then.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you a way to potentially make money by pairing Amazon with the power of AI without ever selling physical products. And I promise you've never heard about this before. I did it with a free app that's probably already on your phone, and that app is the Kindle app. Hi, I'm Carla Marie, and the coolest part is...
I used to Google, am I addicted to alcohol? If you have to Google it, you probably have a problem.
I knew I was crazy before we got married. Back then it was like premarital prophetic counseling. I love the people still today, but they should have had prophesied how hard marriage was going to be. They should have prophesied that our marriage was going to deal with alcoholism and pornography.
I'm 10 years sober from alcohol this November.
And you still feel like it's a struggle?
100%.
Explain.
I will never not desire to drink. And if I ever think that I am okay, I run the risk of relapsing more. God's been reframing my shame over the past 10 years, but on day 38 in rehab, as a pastor's wife and a mom, I had to say, my name is Irene, and I'm an alcoholic. If I didn't say it that way, the shackles were not going to fall off. And meet Jesus, Jimmy.
That's me. I'm joking. I'm not Elohim, but I am him. I was intoxicated with something different. They were both equally destroying our marriage. I could preach to thousands and couldn't talk to the one I laid next to every night. I could build a church with an incredible kids ministry, but had no relationship with my own kids.
When was your first relationship with pornography?
9 years old, and I now understand that your introduction will become your appetite until you're healed. I told her, and she could not believe I was that honest.
Yeah.
You will always be as sick as your secrets.
I spent $80,000 on rehab here, y'all. You get it for free.
We just show you, yes, he can heal in an instant, but he's also a fan of the process.
Right. We can experience freedom if we are willing to do the work.
I don't think that there's no greater teacher than pain, but maybe there is. Someone else's.
Woo!
Welcome to Dear Future Wifey Podcast. My homies, Jimmy and Irene Rollins are in the building. How y'all doing?
The Dear Future Wifey Podcast has global impact from Texas.
I have been on this journey of healing and self-discovery, and this podcast has been a vital part of my process.
Guyana.
God's establishing through you a legacy, a display of freedom found in authentic spirituality.
California.
I learned so much as a single man through your podcast and continue to learn so much as now a married man.
Nigeria.
This is just therapy for me. You know, I've been healed, I've been strengthened in my convictions, I've understood how to do singlehood better.
Amsterdam.
The way that you've shown us how it is possible for a man to be as intentional as you are.
New Jersey.
I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate just being able to see that there is life after divorce.
To New York.
I am a single woman, so these episodes really give me hope and courage that God does have a husband for me.
Discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm Latera Sar Whitfield, and this is season 10 of the Dear Future Wifey Podcast.
Welcome to Dear Future Wifey Podcast. I'm your host, Latera Sar Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Come on, hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. While you
Frequency, and you know, So we came up with this thing like 3 times a week when we first got married, and I thought that we would be going longer. Like I'm like, hey, we haven't. And she's like, yes, we did. So she started. I didn't know that she got a sex calendar, and we've been married 26 years, and that thing has been filled out. You know, in some seasons, the calendar it's a good week. You know what I'm saying? It's a good work week.
So if it's 3, then it's good.
No, 3 is the minimum.
Oh, that's the minimum.
That was the minimum.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then she would be like, no. We had, we came together and, was intimate, I was like, no. So we were arguing about it. And then it got to the point where she'd be like, no, this was the date. I'd be like, well, that didn't count.
Why don't it count, Jimmy?
Because, it was too quick, and I just don't think quickies should always count.
Why should they count, Jimmy?
Because, I need her to experience all of me. You know what I mean?
But y'all married, y'all didn't do that every time, right?
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, I need to make sure you involved. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it feels like, it's a duty. And I need to be held. I need to be held.
I said coffee and a donut counts. That counts as one on the calendar.
I need to be held. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the little spoon at times.
Jimmy, how tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
And how tall is your wife?
5'3".
You want to be a little spoon?
Yeah, sometimes I want to be spoon. Like you can't see her when she behind me.
Right? What? Oh my God.
Let's see what all this tell. But yeah, this is our marriage right here.
And so when y'all walked the studio, it was a debate. She said that it's been, what'd you say?
I said a week. He said a week and a half. I'm like, no.
And you said it don't count because it was a quickie, Jimmy.
Well, yeah, I could tell she wasn't really wanting to be involved, and it was all about, especially when she say stuff like, "This one's all about you." It's really, I can't stand you, but I know you need this.
And this is for you.
This is for you, which is fine. We love to joke about it. We don't really argue about it.
But since it's been a week, and that's like, so we both know we're on tonight.
Okay, y'all on tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight.
It's going down.
So do you feel like it lacks passion if it's scheduled?
No, I don't feel like it.
We kind of have this rhythm in our heads already.
Yes.
That it's going to that we don't let
have a conversation about
we don't let a week go by.
Yeah.
Without connecting that way. And then if I'm going out of town or he's going out of town,
Don't leave daddy.
100%
Don't
that.
let daddy leave the house hungry.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's just understood from the beginning.
Understood.
It wasn't something y'all had to learn in marriage.
Oh, we did have to learn it and talk about it and figure out why are we so, we were argumentative, you were moody when you like would go, he would be sulking when he would go out of town, like sulking. I'm like, what is this sulking for? And you know, finally I pull it out of him, like, you weren't, it wasn't a priority, you know, I just don't feel like you're a priority, and you know, you didn't, you know, even make an effort. I'm like, how about
This
you
wasn't
let me
beginning.
know
It was real. It's real.
what you want and what you need, and maybe I can accommodate, but if I don't know, I can't read your mind. And so then once we like kind of figured that whole thing out, we came to an agreement. Because here's the thing, you can't have an expectation, it's not valid unless it's agreed upon by both parties. So it has to be spoken, you have to speak it out loud. Is it, you gotta weigh, is it realistic? Like, is the person even capable? Like, can I give you weekly sex 3 times, whatever, if I'm sick or if whatever? You know, is it even something they're capable of giving? And then, you know, have you evaluated whether or not,
is it coming from a healthy place?
Is it coming from a healthy place?
Do y'all have marriage therapists?
We do.
When did y'all implement that?
I knew I was crazy before we got married.
Before you got married, you knew you're crazy.
So we had premarital, you know, back then it was like premarital prophetic counseling. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's an extra charge. I don't know why it was called that.
It wasn't called that for real, was it?
Yes.
It was prophetic?
Yeah, premarital prophetic counseling. And I love the people still today, but you know, they should have had prophesied how hard marriage was gonna be. Right? They should have prophesied that our marriage was gonna deal with alcoholism and pornography and all of the things. But there was really a lot of premarital counseling is like bills and sexual appetite and believe the same thing. No, I need to know how to argue healthy.
That part.
How to have a good fight, because we're gonna fight.
Yes.
But it's like, well, here's what you need to do to communication. They're teaching us about, you know, a definition of submission that's not biblical.
Explain that.
Well, the thing is, it's like we think submission is like you come under me. You know, I'm first, you're second, I'm the head, and you know, you're the tail. You know, but submission is a mutual desire that we are both submitted to the call and covenant of our marriage. So what we look at is this: Irene's an individual, I'm an individual. Our marriage is its own entity, and we submit to the vision, to the honor, to the call, to the covenant of our marriage mutually. And so, you know, like husbands, you know, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Well, how did Christ love the church? He died for the church. So am I willing to die for our marriage? Like, I'm not talking about a physical death. I'm talking about a submission, a sacrificial nature of mine to lay down my own wants, desires, feelings, thoughts, emotions for our marriage. Now, Irene can submit to our marriage as I submit to our marriage, understanding that I am the spiritual head of our household. That doesn't mean that I make all the decisions. I eat at all the restaurants I want to go to. I have sex as much as I want. No, it's as Irene said, we've come up with mutual expectations for our marriage that we both sacrifice for, which is dual submission.
Good. How did that show up? What were y'all wrestling with in the early stages of your marriage with him having that ideology and maybe leading from that heart posture? How did you deal with that?
Well, first of all, to answer your question earlier, we've been in counseling for 26 years.
26 years.
But
26.
heavy, 15 years. It's been heavy, like consistent, which has been a game changer. And I stay in counseling. He takes breaks from time to time because he, you know.
I get tired of people telling me, putting their finger on, I'm paying them to persecute me. That's what I feel like.
I stay in the work. I gotta keep doing the work because I feel like if I'm not doing work on myself, I'm leaning towards the propensity to relapse in addiction. And I'm 10 years sober from alcohol. this November, 2025,
November 12th.
November 12th, and I have to be doing the work, like internal, emotional, soul work, in order to like that's my medicine to stay sober. Ultimately,
She often
ultimately
says,
it's God.
She often says, if I'm not working on my recovery, I'm working on my relapse.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's that serious. I saw you pinned, which I really love, on your page, 9 years. And so every year, do you make that the new pin? And so 10, you're approaching 10 years of sobriety, and you still feel like it's a struggle?
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough.
100%.
Explain.
I will never not desire to drink. And if I ever think that I am okay, I run the risk of relapsing more.
Really?
Yes. And so 10 years for me, I'm actually at the point where I don't need to call myself an alcoholic to stay sober, because I think that has attached a lot of shame, and God's been reframing my shame over the past 10 years, and I believe that now I am more comfortable saying that my name is Irene, and I have overcome an addiction to alcohol.
Yes.
My identity is in Jesus Christ. I
gotta preach.
know who I am.
Yes.
But I want to help people out there.
It's good.
The reason why on day 38 in rehab, as a pastor's wife and a mom and a leader in the church and a wife, I had to say, my name is Irene and I'm an alcoholic, was because if I didn't say it that way, that time and that moment in time, the shackles were not going to fall off. I had to admit I had a problem.
That's great.
I had to. My life was in the balance, because the denial, when you're in an addiction, it's no longer you talking. It's the addiction in your brain has been hijacked. So you're fighting to get out of that control from that person, place, or thing. That hurt habit.
That's that celebrate recovery.
Right?
That's real.
And you're fighting, and until you confess it and admit it, it's controlling you.
Did you go through celebrate recovery?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You gotta tell us all about that.
That's
She
what I'm
speaks
with.
at the national
The summit. Like, I'm best friends with the people,
the founders.
the founders.
Man, when I say that was liberating for me, and I went thinking I had a sexual addiction, and then after the third day, I realized God said, you don't have a sexual addiction, you have an addiction towards codependency. You're codependent on people's affirmations and people's approval. And I was like, I don't need people's approval. Like, come on, now, from the hood, I don't need. God said, yes you do. Yes you do, because every time you cheated on your wife, you cheated on somebody that was a cheerleader. You cheated on somebody that affirmed you. And I was like, wow. And at that time, my ex-wife and I hadn't even had sex in 16 months. I wasn't masturbating. I wasn't doing anything in those 16 months. And that's when I started Celebrate Recovery. And so I kept saying, I'm a filthy dude. I did everything I said I'll never do. I cheated on my wife. I have a sexual addiction. And God was like, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. I cheated. And he was like, but you don't. And so that's when I started uncovering the real issues with me, which when you look at it, that's how God ended up birthing Dear Future Wifey. That was in 2010. And in 2020, I do Dear Future Wifey, where I'm sitting on a platform where I'm sharing all my faults, not caring what type of pushback I get from people. From a place where I was 10 years ago, I was 15 years ago at this point, I was like, oh no, it would eat me alive if some of the stuff, if I was in that same mindset back then, and I was read and find videos attacking me or whatever, I'll probably jump off the bridge somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And God had to deliver me from that, so now he could prepare me for this. It was a message Bishop T.D. Jakes, I don't know if he was preaching the message or he just went derailed and sent this message, dropped this gem. But I was at the church visiting one day. I was doing plays back in that time. Had the cast there, and he said something to the tune of, God will never be able to use you the way he wants to use you unless he first delivers you from people's opinion. And he dropped that, and I was like, what? And then this dude, Pastor Wingfield, no, this is other pastor, this is other deacon, he tapped me on the shoulder because I was like, God, he can't be talking to me. And then the dude said, God's talking to you. He said, this. And I looked, I said, hold on, what is going on? And I sat there and I said, God, you know how I am. There's no way on God's green earth I'm going to not care what people say about me. So I don't know if you won't ever use me because it just doesn't line up with the way my love language is words of affirmation. So that just doesn't make sense. And that's what God had to deliver me from. So it's powerful that you went through that. You go speak at National Convention for that. How long did you struggle with alcoholism, and at what age did it begin?
Well, that's such a great question. Exactly. Well, first of all, the early exposure. So 10 years old.
10 years old?
Yes. I'm living in Cameroon at the time, in West Africa, and my dad would get cases of Guinness. And I asked him one day, hey, can I have one of those? He's like, it's vitamins. I was like, what is it? And he said, it's vitamins. He joked and said it was vitamins. I'm sorry. And I took him literally. So I started helping myself to one a day.
A whole bottle?
Of Guinness. I didn't know about alcohol. People didn't explain it or anything like that. We were given wine with dinner when we went to special things that overseas. That's just was the norm.
At what age did they allow you to drink?
Well, I was anywhere from, I was 10, and there would be a little glass of wine at my table at nice dinners.
But that consumption, would it make you inebriated?
No.
Okay.
But it's changing my brain chemistry in early developmental formative years where my brain was being developed. So I was in the beginnings of feeding, creating an alcoholic. Now, then I go to boarding school overseas in Switzerland, and
set it off.
There was no drinking age. Everybody was getting wasted, and so I just went. I could go buy a 6-pack of Heineken.
At what age?
At 14.
Oh, for real? So there's no age limit when y'all...
At least not that I knew of, because I just walked in the grocery store.
She had a real good fake ID.
I'm telling you, I just walked in and got it, and I had a higher tolerance than all my friends. I could drink 4. They were on half a Heineken, and they were tipsy. I'm like, oh, lightweights.
So you would drink at 10 years old, you would drink a bottle of Guinness?
Yeah.
And so did your dad ever catch you?
He never noticed. He never said anything.
So you just be sitting. So what do you remember feeling at 10 years old?
I don't recall feeling anything. I just was doing what this
vitamins.
One a day.
One a day. You act like
one a day.
Seriously.
One a day.
My parents, I don't think they knew. And so then I started abusing it up until I was 21. So I'm talking about if I drank to blacked out drink.
Really?
I was at the club. That's the only way I could loosen up enough to dance.
To black out. No, you would drink to the point of
blacking out. Yeah. It wasn't a fun night unless you got, I don't remember getting home some days. I don't remember, who brought me home, how I got there. It's a miracle I'm alive. And meet Jesus. 6 months later, meet Jimmy.
That's me. I'm joking.
No.
She's like, meet Jimmy. Y'all see that she got that confused?
I know. No,
I'm not Jesus first. I'm joking. I'm not Elohim, but I am him.
You are so stupid. Met Jesus and met Jimmy, and then it was started popping out babies. I'm in the church world. You're not supposed to be drinking per the Jimmy. It was a big no-no. So I didn't drink until I was about 32. We were on vacation, and
you stopped this?
I
stopped. Like you was hiding.
No, I got radically saved.
She was hiding.
But I'm talking about she stopped for that.
She did.
Because I was told that drinking was sin. So
but how were you able to stop like that though?
It was
look at this hairline. This is how she stopped.
I was so codependent. I was so codependent. That's why I stopped.
Yeah, you're right.
And because I was so about pleasing him. And
so you were able to stop just because of that?
Mm-hmm. Because that's how strong I was gripped in someone else's perception of me was more important to me than.
So that word codependency you talking about
is real. That was the root of really. That's why I said you have to be working on your recovery in order to not relapse. Like, if I'm not working on staying away from codependency and doing that internal work.
It's great.
Because if I'm not working on that, it's going to lead to the addiction.
So y'all met at what age?
21, he was 24.
And you stayed sober for 10 years.
Yep. And the moment I picked, the moment that alcohol touched my lips, it was on.
So how did that happen?
Because vacation.
Oh, so y'all was out on the vacation. So you had vacation while you were with him.
Yeah, and then I grew up like, you didn't touch it, religious family, PK.
Yeah, that's how I grew up.
I wanted to rebel. Every time I drank, it was like rebellion. So we was on vacation, and I remember like, I talking to my friends, hey man, I wanted to be intimate, you should give your wife some wine. I had no idea.
What that's going to do to
you? Yeah, what we were waking up. And we had wine on that, and now it's,
it was 6 years.
6 years, and she talks about this, like, literally I did not know that one was too many, and 1,000 was not enough.
Ooh!
And
one was too many, and 1,000
woke up, and it turned into, we're leading a church, we're pastoring, church is growing, I'm speaking around the country, and I was so lost at home. I felt like I could preach to thousands and couldn't talk to the one I laid next to every night. I could build a church with an incredible kids ministry, but had no relationship with my own kids. Like, I was intoxicated with something different. And they were both equally destroying our marriage.
So when was your first relationship with pornography?
My first relationship with pornography was 9 years old. I was 9 years old.
10 and you 9.
10 and 9. And I remember the picture. I remember the boy who showed it to me. I remember where I was standing. It's crazy to me how my whole life with learning disabilities, I could not remember spelling, how to spell words, and had a stuttering problem, severe stuttering problem growing up. But I could remember a picture that was formulated in me at 9. And that became my sexual appetite, that picture. And I now understand that your introduction will become your appetite until you're healed.
Teach. And then when did she...
Ooh, I got me a whole afro, y'all.
Your private addiction.
Oh, I told her day one.
Oh, really?
No problem with honesty here.
This is me.
So you told him, how'd you say it?
We were at we were in Maryland at St. Stephen's, Maryland, on a day vacation. Like, let's just go hang out for a day. We was broke. Let me just keep it real. Day vacation. We were broke, and this looked like vacation because it was near some water. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, I want to make sure we grow in our marriage, and I felt like the greatest form of accountability should be
y'all's already
you.
Married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be you. And I said, this is early on, like maybe year 1. And I was just sitting there like, I need you to know this has nothing to do with you. I have a dysfunctional pharmacy inside of me that was introduced to me at 9. And when I don't feel validated, when I feel insecure, I've noticed when I feel lonely, I turn to that dysfunctional pharmacy. And back then I thought it was addiction. Like you said, it wasn't addiction. It was codependency.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, I hope that you could be a covering for me in this area.
That's good.
And pray for me in this area. Because I was told that, the best kind of prayers are the ones that come from the one you lay next to every night.
Teach. Say that again for the
I
people
don't
in
need
the back.
hands laid on me by a pastor. I can get hands laid on me by my partner.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right next to me.
That's what
Like, why am I waiting to go to church when the church is laying right next to me?
God, that's
that's why Jesus, like, literally, scripture, God calls the church and his relationship with us as the church and marriage.
Yeah.
And so, like, I told her, and she was like, oh my gosh. Like, she could not believe I was that honest. And it wasn't pretty at first, but I love.
Yeah, I got an egg kid, all right.
She didn't emotionally hijack and talk about how what I am saying is.
My hair so thin.
Hold on, so how did you know not to do that?
And I snatched a whole patch of my hair out back here.
Like, it was the Holy Spirit. When a man opens his soul like that, oh, I shut up.
I know some can't do that.
That's what I'm about to say. That's what I say. Who taught you that? Because that's something that I believe typically has to be taught. But your instructor was the Holy Spirit.
It had to be because I was too young to know better, right? There's so much I didn't know. And it's like something silenced me because it was like a reverent moment. Like I had to be still and silent and just allow him to, like, this man was opening this. I never met another human being that was this honest. Part of it was I didn't know what to do or say.
And I think too, looking back at it in hindsight bias, God was actually healing the no talk rule in her family that she grew up. See, we believe that your spouse is the blueprint for your growth, right? So like in that moment of me being transparent, like it was kind of like, well, he's talking about something that I'm not gonna talk because she was in no talk rule, but she was a great listener. And so I unpacked two things to her that day. It was that, and it was, hey, there's this girl in college that never had a sexual relationship with. I always wanted to date. We never dated. We were just really good friends. And sometimes I desire her friendship, which says to me that we need to be better friends. And that day, same day, I told her that, and I ended it with this. I want you to be my best friend. I don't want to have desires outside of it. And then I said this, and I want you to be my sexual desire. That's what I said. I didn't know any other way. And I'll never forget, that started my daily prayer that I still pray today. God, when I wake up this morning, I prayed this morning, may my eyes only desire the body of my wife. Because it's real out here in this culture. And 26 years. We've been faithful. 26 years. We've been great. When I say great, I'm talking about for one another. But struggles, fights, all the things that everybody goes through. But one thing that we have vowed to each other, and this is not theology, so I'm going to say that on purpose, is that before I cheat on you, I'll leave you, because I hate you that much. So we've never gotten to the place of leaving. And so even through I want to leave, I want to quit, I want to divorce when she was going through the alcoholism for years and not admitting it. It was the hardest thing ever and then I would negotiate with my own healing by saying, I deserve to look at this. I deserve this picture. I deserve this clip to look at. This is before scrolling. No, you had to be intentional to have pornography. You had to pay for it with the hoping that she didn't see the cable bill. Look, I was negotiating with what was eternal, with something that was fantasy.
Let me ask you something, Irene. Him being as vulnerable and transparent early on, why wasn't that the foundation for you to be open about your alcoholism?
That's a great question. I think because it wasn't in me, we marry what we didn't have, right? Growing up to try to reconcile something that has been missing, and I didn't have that openness, that honesty, no secrets. I didn't know how. So as much as we were in therapy, it had been ingrained in me to keep this mouth shut. You do not speak about something super personal, like you wipe the tears, don't let anybody see you cry. You get what I'm saying? That is just too much vulnerability. And so everything about him that he did, I loved, but made me so uncomfortable to do it for myself. It took Jesus, the Bible, and a whole lot of just breaking of that, belief system and this started in rehab. And that day 38 of rehab, I had done all the work, admitted sexual abuse in my childhood. I finally said that out loud.
15 years into our marriage. That was the next question I was about to ask you. I was about to ask you what other things that you keep silent.
Oh, I kept that. That was a big one, because that was one of the things that led me to drink in the first place, the undealt with trauma, right?
Yep.
And all the pent-up emotions about pain and hurt and things I resented about him had built up, and I never expressed it. I just didn't know how. I don't know how else to tell you that. I'm sure there are listeners out there, people who are like, I know what she's talking about. you don't even know how to articulate in words what it is you're experiencing on the inside. All you know is that person, place, thing you're using to take you somewhere else to ease the pain, that feels better than the pain of the courage it's going to take to actually say it out loud. Yeah. I just couldn't. And it took rehab and them really retraining my brain through therapy to get me to be open and honest.
I remember when 15 years in our marriage, I'm hearing why our sex life was such a... Like, I'm like...
What?
I'm like, what? Like we did a lot of other stuff, but I waited until we got married to go all the way. Yeah. And so I was like, you know, when you're growing up in church, in a religious family, that becomes a trophy. Right. It is wrong. It's actually trauma. I'll explain that later. But I feel like when we got healthy, when she told me, it gave me definition to our dysfunction. And I feel like many couples, if you're
She
listening
made
right
you
now,
fall?
like, you will
What
always
happened?
be a
How she make you fall?
She pushed me off the bed.
What happened? Oh, you was doing that? Why was you doing that? Why would you do that? Come here. Get down. You come in and telling him she pushed you off the bed, but you was hitting her. That's not okay. And then talking about a snitch. What in the world? Oh, y'all. Take that out. Take that out. Here.
secrets. Period. Your marriage will always be as the secrets that you have in it. And then if it's not a secret, if someone else knows something and that your spouse doesn't know, that's actually emotional cheating.
There it is.
And it can be of the same sex.
Yep.
And so what I did that day, yes, I was frustrated. Yes, but it gave me like relief that our sexual dysfunction wasn't mine. Like, I'm not performing, or I'm not good at something, or can't we do that? I didn't know that she was sexually abused, and that was what the person, you know...
Well, that's why I needed to drink, to alleviate the stress that I was feeling every time we went to be intimate. I didn't realize that I was being triggered by several, like, it could be all your senses. The body keeps score.
Yep.
So sight, smell, touch, all the things. If I got triggered, I didn't know that I was getting all like, you know, trauma reacting.
And I didn't know.
I was drinking at that, and he thought I was drinking at him.
Yeah.
And now I have definition to dysfunction. Now we
like
can
it's
heal
rejection.
together.
You took it as rejection.
I did.
Yep.
And that's what happens. People leave. People get divorced. People separate. Because they're like, am I crazy?
Yep.
Or are you crazy? Well, we're both crazy, and we're both the blueprint. So let's unpack our crazy so we can heal together. Like, and so I started asking her questions like, hey, how are you feeling right now?
And
I started asking her questions, drawing it out of her. I'm training her in the good parts of me to be real and vulnerable. See, transparency is what I let you see. Transparency is what other people see. Vulnerability is letting you know why I act the way I act from what you see. That's giving people definition to dysfunction.
Y'all messing me up right now. Because I know this is helping so many people. I know for a fact. It's like, it's certain guests I'll be talking to, and I'll be present in the conversation, but then I'll hear in the spirit realm. And I'm hearing how it's been deposited into people's minds. It's like, I just heard a woman scream. You know, like while she's telling this story, I just heard a woman just start screaming.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm hearing these things. And I'm like, am I supposed to say it's a trigger warning right here or what? It's like my mind is just like going between these spaces, not wanting to ruin the moment. But I'm hearing breakthrough take place. I'm hearing men get referenced to being like, wow, now I need to be more emotionally involved in the sex life of our marriage. It's certain questions. When you find out 1 in 5 women have been victims of sexual assault, and with black women it's 1 in 4, then you need to have these conversations, because if you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you say, hold on, this woman may be somebody, I may have married a woman that is wrestling with that internally. Let's have the conversation. At least be at base camp and say, hey, I was wondering, have you ever been a victim of sexual assault? And then let them go, I've always wanted to share this with somebody. And then that's going to create a greater deal of intimacy. And now you're really, truly knowing that person that you said vows to. And so it's just a lot in this. And first of all, thank y'all for this vulnerability and transparency, because especially in the office, in the position of pastors as y'all been, a lot of times people just don't share that type of stuff. They not about to share that they struggle with pornography, and they're not going to talk about it. I've never, before Irene, and I know how powerful her ministry is, but I never heard nobody talk about alcoholism in church. They just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? They just never said, I struggle with alcohol. You like, what? Because it's so normalized nowadays. It's Sunday fun day is on the same day as church. You know what I'm saying? And so people will go leave church and go every hour. It ain't no big issue. So it's just good that you're giving a reference to all of this. When he started dialing into you from the emotional standpoint, how did that start helping you from a sexual experience, start healing that childhood trauma?
So first of all, like, I feel like, Jimmy, you made space. I feel like I look at him when I do this. You made space for my humanity, my brokenness. And because you had laid the foundation of honesty and vulnerability, it's like my knower knew that I could trust you with what I was laying on the table. So I began to bring him into, okay, right now I am experiencing, I'm tense, so I need you to do this specifically. And so my work to do was figuring out how to admit it, that I was struggling in that moment. And you're literally about to have sex. And how do you do that without getting out of the mood, right? But I'm like, if you want me to be fully engaged, I'm going to need your help to get present. So I gave him specific things like touch, like he'll touch me and hold like my knee and like ground me and bring me into the present, and it helped my body to go from the past into the present, and that became my new memory. So when the trigger would come up, and again, it could be a scent, it could be a touch, like I could close my eyes and certain images cross my eyes, and I would just say, hey, I need you to help me be present. So it's a one-liner, and we came up with that together so that it didn't kill the mood, but then it helped me come into the present. So it's like, no, I'm safe here. I'm okay. I'm okay, you're okay. I had like certain statements that are one-liners that I would say that would bring me out of the trauma-reacting little girl and into the present safety. And we had prayer together where he like literally helped care for her. the 6-7-year-old little girl, the 10-year-old little girl, he literally prayed over her, talked to her, shared with her how her worth and her value, and like said, you know, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I also faced the little girl and comforted her and said, I'm sorry your innocence was taken. And, you know, we walked through that together. And let me tell you that what the Lord, you think is lost is not lost. In the book of Joel, it talks about like how he'll like what the restore
everything that the cankerworm stole.
Yeah, he restored it.
I'm cool. I had to say things like, hey, be present, it's me. I had to say things like, hey, let's just stop and pray, right? It wasn't easy. I don't want anyone listening to think that, no, this was me accepting my role, allowing the Holy Spirit to change, which was a dysfunctional pharmacy, going to seek things to cover up this. No, God was using me to cover it in a way that would bring her back to present. And we would have conversations like, afterwards, are you good? I had to get to places where I didn't finish because the work of the completed finishing work of Jesus, it was my assignment to help that take place. And so,
because if I had tears or whatever, it would just stop.
And so now, fast forwarding, I'm starting to realize what intimacy really is. Because we say we love people, but that love is a very cultural love. We know now, God's love, it looks for sin. It looks for dysfunction. It looks for everything that it's not in order for it to be defined in what it was created to do. So when we say God is love, God's love doesn't have any other agenda but to reconcile.
Teach.
So when I say I love my wife, I'm not saying give me food, give me sex, give me babies. I'm saying what can I do to reconcile the thing inside of you that was dysfunctional, trauma, triggers, whatever. And I like to say it this way. In our marriage, my love is at its best when you're at your worst. That's God's love. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. There was no quota of scripture reading, church attendance, or anything. God loves us at our worst, period.
You know what's so interesting? It's like you were unpacking a minute ago. God would use somebody that was dealing with their own sexual addiction to cover somebody else who had been violated from a sexual act. Like it's something. Yeah, it's God's omniscience. He said, I needed Jimmy to go through what he went through. I need you to go through what you go through. But if y'all are surrendered and submitted, that's what true submission is. Yeah. Submitted to what God says, that I can use this to breathe healing in this relationship.
Romans 8:28.
I just had a first-time revelation of an area that I resented for a long time.
And what's that?
So, I love when God does this. Like, I had no idea that he wanted to heal something else in me today. And never have I felt shame. I didn't want to shame her about her past, body count versus mine.
Mine was higher.
And all of the things. I waited until we got married to have sex. And honestly, I would ask God, like, is that driving my pornography? And just to see what something else is like.
Yep.
And I realized just now when you said those words, just right now, the Holy Spirit, you know, I might have to give you an offering. The Holy Spirit said to me, no, the reason I had you wait is because you're the only person that could give her something that no other guy was able to give her.
No one.
And I've been struggling internally from time to time with like, I was a good looking dude. I said no. I've been in situations in college where I'll never forget, I was in the car with a girl, you know, got to a place where we were ready to go, and the lights came on in a car that was off. I'm not BSing. Y'all can text, comment, whatever you think. This is my real reality.
Teach.
I ain't getting paid for this.
Testify.
This ain't, I'm telling you right now, I remember the girl's name. I remember where we were parked. I remember all the things. And the lights on the car came on, and I thought it was my mom praying against that moment. I did not know that that was Irene's future. And we hadn't met yet. I was able to give her something that no other man was able to give her. And it's not until this moment right here that I can say I no longer resent that. I recognize why God reserved me to be a part of healing you.
The kinsman redeemer.
Just right now.
That blesses my soul because we've talked about this. I'm like, are you resentful? Like, and we asked it, I don't mind sharing this. Like, I asked him, I'm like, do you ever, like, I'd asked him over the years several times, like, do you resent me? Because it took me so long to get honest about my body count. Because it was way high and compared to him, and well, he didn't technically have one. And then I'm like, but you saved yourself. Do you ever wonder
I had a hand count.
what it's like? Oh, Jimmy.
It was a body count, but it was my hand.
Stop it.
I'm just telling you, that's just the truth.
Jimmy,
I don't want nobody to think that I'm just.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You did other things. Okay.
I'm sorry.
But that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit it out.
No, we're gonna stay there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
He said he had a hand in his journey.
Yeah. I had a hand in my journey. So what you were saying is, in this moment, we've had those conversations.
Yeah. And like, I always wondered if like he would struggle with like the more temptation because he hadn't had any other partners but me. But then at the same time, I was kind of like, that was the biggest gift he gave me, and I'll tell you why. The amount of baggage I had from sexual abuse from childhood, but then men, you know, date rape and all the other things. Like, I never had anybody not just grope me, not look me up and down in a sexually explicit way, undressing me with their eyes. That's what drew me to him. We worked together, and I'm like, this guy ain't, like, if he was checking me out, he didn't just make sure I didn't see him doing it. You know what I mean? I'd never met anybody who did that. Then you saved yourself from marriage. Who does that? People actually do that.
Did you feel unworthy to be with him?
100%. But the fact that he had that moral compass in him, I said, I think I could do life with somebody like this because that integrity I'd never seen in my life. Not that he was perfect, but the fact that he didn't just want me for my body, I'd never seen it. I don't know if we would have worked out. I don't know if we would have gotten married if he hadn't given me that.
That's why I say the omniscience of God.
Yeah.
And from one man to another, Jimmy, I want to just tell you that I honor and respect you for having that level of discipline where you don't have all these women that you spread your seed. You had all these people that, from a physical standpoint, you know, of course, you said the imagery that's in your mind, you know, has plagued you since 9 years old. But the fact that you haven't become one with another woman on this earth, and even though you wrestle with feeling resentment, feeling all the feelings that you felt throughout this 26 years of marriage, you still, it's 26, right?
Yeah.
You still never stepped out and said, you know what, I'm gonna see for myself.
Yeah.
I know you've experienced this, I know you did this, I know that, you know, you didn't tell me that you dealt with alcoholism, and that's making me feel rejected, and I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way.
Yeah.
The fact that you operated with such discipline that you didn't do that from one brother to another, I salute you, King, because that's powerful. It's very rare. I want to take time to actually applaud that because we're as men, we're told the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like, you ain't never had, you know, one person. Oh man, you ain't never really lived. Like you ain't really lived unless you had a whole lot of bodies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're taught that at 16 years old, and I recognize that the hardest thing for me to be faithful in marriage is because when I said I do, I brought all these women in the bed with me.
Yeah.
Not realizing that in my mind, my body didn't say I got married. My body don't know that. Your spirit gets married, but your body is sitting up here saying, your body's like, just a couple years ago, you were smashing us all. You just, what are you talking about? You said I do. And so the reality is we normalize all of these acts that we do, and then we trick our, and let me tell you what the biggest lie that happens. Isn't this crazy how we normalize the day before we get married? Like I said, I'm getting married November 22nd, and I'm being married by, my circle of Christian men that we ain't doing no, going to strip clubs and all that stuff. No, we're going to have a words of affirmation ceremony where we talk and we affirm each other. So, but think about how normalized it is to go have your last night of fun. So we go, quote unquote, by standards, go have fun. Don't tell your wife this. It's your last night. Yeah. You finna go do whatever. God knows whatever. Strippers, get some head, get whatever you want, and then walk down the aisle in holy matrimony.
Right. And make a covenant.
You make a whole covenant. Your body was just doing that 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, and then here you are walking down there talking about, I took these vows to honor, respect you, and all this, but I'm gonna keep this secret. Now I'm gonna start off the marriage with a secret that happened 24 hours ago. Wow. I ain't supposed to tell my wife. I ain't gonna tell my wife, hey, we was just some strippers and I slept with one of them. You're not gonna do that? Because it's never okay while y'all are dating each other, but the night before you take vows, it's normalized that you're gonna do some things, and hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That is so good. Like, you wanna go?
I want to say something real quick. Just the fact when you hit on the normalization, like we have normalized, we've conformed to the things of this world.
Absolutely.
And it's like that I conformed to alcohol. That was my choice. Like, oh, everybody drinks. Like, and then I used it as rationalization for my medication, to use it as medication. And over time, it took 6 years for me to be like completely needing rehab. 6 years from that start. And it just got heavier and heavier. Went from, casual, moderate drinking to like abuse of it and hiding vodka in water bottles because we fought about it so much. Like, but I took advantage of the fact that it was so normalized in culture, and then nobody talked about it in the church, so I hid it. So the hiding made it grow even more. Yes. And it turned into something I couldn't stop on my own and needed help to stop.
And you called it medication, which is interesting because your dad called it vitamins.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I think what you were saying, like, I want to talk to the person who's listening. I do not want you to feel condemnation, right? Like, sexual appetite, you know what you know, you haven't had a model. The culture that all of those things are real. But one thing I was thinking about when you were talking is that we want the benefit of marriage, not realizing Scripture tells us to wait, until it's in the covenant of marriage. But when we wake up, the benefit of marriage, which is a sexual relationship with a human before I'm married, we get the warfare of marriage without the covenant to make you stay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about
Jimmy, you cooking right now.
I was thinking, this is all, you might need to travel. I'm getting revelation that I don't normally have. But I think about this, like, why your relationships aren't working is because you have given this human a benefit of marriage without the covenant to handle the warfare that you're waking up.
That is good. That's good.
And if you would consider that you don't need to try, test drive, all of the things, because that's not what your marriage is created for. Trust me when I'm telling you this. The reason that I'm sitting here on this couch, not perfect, but free, is simply this. I have nothing to hide. And I have someone to tell it to, whose prayers, commitment, accountability, and support is only there in the confines of the covenant of marriage. And now we have the covenant of marriage to heal one another, right? Without the duplicity of warfare from people, strongholds, generational soul ties of people that we never have the covenant with to stay.
There it is.
The reason why it ain't working because you ain't got the covenant to stay, not because they cheated. I'm trying to tell you right now, our marriage is not perfect, but it's free. Because there's no secrets. And like, I still say things. I still say, hey, can we not go sit on that side of the beach? Because that thong bikini is real.
And I take it personally.
I still say, I ain't never had an ab in my life. Right? I know the girl wants some abs. Right?
It would be nice. But you know, I've given up on that.
No, but
I'm good with my dad bod.
But what's the use of abs with no anointing?
Yes.
What's the use of you know, she got a big booty.
Yeah.
Right? But can't pray you through breakthrough.
There it is.
Like I'm not, this is not a preacher thing. This is the reality.
There it is.
Of chains being broken off of me because I yielded to that God created this person for me to show everything I'm not so that God's love could become reality to me. That's why I ain't got to wait to go to church to worship.
There it is.
It's right here.
It's right here. And vice versa. And vice versa. You literally taught me value and worth for myself. Because you said, we're not gonna have sex before marriage. It's just, we just can't. And you explained all your reasons why. I'll never forget. It was our first date. He set that down. And I poked him on the shoulder like this. I'm like, are you real? I'm like, oh my God.
You're talking about 23 years old.
Yeah, he was 23 years old and I'm 20, 21. And I'm like, are you real? Like, if you're valuing yourself that much, I should be valuing myself. I had never seen it. And, you know, I need to value myself like that and not allow someone, because trust me, sometimes it was me stopping us from having sex before we got married.
It was a struggle.
Because it was a struggle. That's why we had to hurry up.
Porn during that time, right? Yeah, and now I got a baddie. What? Yeah, let me see.
I was like, wait. Remember our commitment? He was trying.
I was trying. Like, what I loved is that when she came into, you know, full discipleship in her Christianity journey, she took it so seriously because that was her appetite outside of it. So now, me saying this, she's now all in, and I'm like, yo, you ain't that saved. Like, come on, we good. And she was like, no. The word of God says, I really went in all the way. I was like, man, God, why you save her all the way? You know what I'm saying? But the gift that we were able to give one another, I didn't just give her a gift because she was my first. She gave me a gift because she redeemed what I thought was fantasy in reality. So now I don't have to play out a fantasy.
I was about to ask you that. I was about to say, what did the unraveling look like from going from fantasy to reality? And you just touched on it.
Well, I really, I'm gonna mention.
No, go ahead.
I fit number one. Keeping it above
1,000.
Yeah, like real thing is the right thing.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I had a whole lot of practice. You know, handling it. And I didn't realize that there's somebody better. Right? I think that's real.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is just the journey of exploration and the journey of now, you know, my body is not my own. Now, and it took the decision, let me say y'all this. The decision to stop is the easy part. The process of commitment to what you decided is the hard part. Now, this is crazy. And just because you give into a moment doesn't mean you're not healed.
Teach.
This side of eternity is no perfection.
There it is.
It's a healing process.
And as they went, they were healed.
And as they went,
yeah,
they were healed. I'll say it like this. Thank you.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I had back surgery. Back surgery, I could not walk. Had a herniated disc. I went, had the surgery. Surgery was awful. the lady, I wake up from anesthesia and she says something that Nurse Betty said, the pain of recovery is far worse than the pain of the injury. And Nurse Betty, in that hospital bed, I just had surgery. She said, you gotta get up and walk. And I was like, no way, it hurts too bad. And she said those words, Sonny, I'll never forget it. You'll get healed as you go. The race don't stop or don't start when the gun goes off. It starts when you decide to get up. And so I've had to get up several times. I have not been perfect. I have watched pornography, after I made the declaration. I thank God now that I'm getting more distance away from being free from even, but I got a card catalog here. I don't need to watch something that's stored in my mind. I have to be very careful to continue to allow Irene to take those cards out and replace that with something that's healthy.
How long has your sobriety been?
Sobriety, what you mean?
From pornography.
You mean like never looking at it again? So I would say it this way. How do I classify pornography? Going to sites and signing up for things? No. Am I scrolling sometimes too long and pinching?
Yes. It's not like looking at social media, but it's
social media is soft porn.
It really is.
And here's what I'll say. Like, I've struggled. I'm not perfect, but I'm free. And that's going to be hard for some pastors and some leaders and some apostles and preachers who would judge that and say, like, no, you need to, no, I am in the process of being healed. And I would love to say, because I also struggle with food addiction. Right? I was 420 pounds.
You was 420?
How long was
420.
that? Doing this whole thing. It was emotional weight. Guess where it came from? The church. Guess why I know? Because I did the work, the trauma work. And I went back and visited every single thing that I completed, that I did well, the reward was food. In church, food. After service, food. Preach a good message, food. Starting a small group, food. In our culture, a dinner plate was a reward.
Celebration.
Right? And so what happened was anytime I did good at anything, it was a reward. That reward turned into also when I did bad, when I was lonely, when I was isolated. And I'm saying all of this again to say, so if you were to ask me, am I sober from food? I can't, because I need it to live.
Right.
If you ask me, am I sober from pornography? If I'm sober from pornography, I don't have to visit a site. What is, there are thoughts in my head that I'm not sober from. There are women that are walking, we did a whole podcast on just because we got married don't mean she got ugly. Now, I have to be that, I can say that person is attractive, but I'm not attracted.
There it is.
And I'm telling myself that attractive is humanity. I notice God's beautiful creation. And sometimes I notice it a little too long. Right? There's some beautiful people in the world. I notice people looking at me and I'm like, wow, I got a good line right now, and that person would be attractive. Now is my dysfunction being attracted to their dysfunction or their good looks to feel something in me that's not healed.
Right.
So I don't want to scapegoat this question. Pornography will always be, I told Irene last week, there will never be a day that my flesh doesn't like the body of a naked woman.
The same thing she was saying about alcohol.
And it doesn't make me bad. I literally was talking to my therapist about it this week because I'm like, the labeling myself an alcoholic, I feel shame, right? Condemnation a little bit.
And I got something to say in that.
Okay,
no, I want you to finish.
You sure?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that I have, if I'm not honest and say that I still have a desire for alcohol, and then, like, how can he help me overcome that? Like, he helps me by, sometimes if I'm emotionally not in a good place, we don't sit by the bar. I sit with my back
We just did it.
towards the
On
bar.
vacation last week.
Yep, and like, I didn't need that for a while, but I've been dealing with some things this summer that brought it back up again. And it's making me realize that, oh my gosh, I still have this desire to drink. It doesn't make me bad.
Yes, that's good. What are you about to say, Jen?
So I need to say this because when you asked me the question, I paused in my brain for a second, and I didn't pause because I don't want to be honest. I paused because I went through the cycle of what are people gonna say, right? And I want to come at and address that. So just like those people on here who were listening, who like you've ingested everything we're saying. You may be a pastor, teacher, preacher, whatever you are. Please be careful of this thought. Don't judge people because they sin differently than you. There it is. And if I am being honest to help people, help myself, that there are situations that I just can't be in. There are places that I just can't go.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't want to wake up the beast.
Yeah.
Right? Please don't be dealing with diabetes and being overweight and be so self-righteous that you come after people with alcohol and pornography and unforgiveness. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
The church that I grew up in, that there are people who speak in tongues but can't say I'm sorry. So I'm gonna keep it a buck. Always check on me. She has every password.
That's good.
I had to make a guardrail for a long time. Driving, there's a guardrail, but there is a line before the guardrail. I don't want a guardrail. I want a line in the road that goes, you right over it?
Yeah,
that says danger is coming.
That's good.
And I try to keep myself away from that. And I'm honest enough to tell my wife, hey babe, I'm struggling.
That's good.
What if I told you this dish was actually healthy? Let's be real. Factor's menu is way healthier than the competition. Their chefs actually.
So,
Can I say something that'll help people, I think, with this just real quick? So, abstinence does not mean sobriety. Woo! Abstinence just means you stopped using that relationship to get you high.